So there we go, my new motorcycle, but most importantly, the 2024 Honda Transalp US version. The Transalp is now in America. And just so we are clear, this is not a test ride bike, this is not a loaner bike, it is not a media bike. I spent my own cash on this bike. Now I want you to stick with me through this first little bit here. I'm gonna break this video up into segments. Number one being the intro, which you're watching right now. Number two, we're gonna look over the bike, talk about it. Number three, we'll go for just a quick little ride. And number four, we'll go ahead and close it out. But why I want you to stick with me through this bit here, this intro, because I think the intro is very important. A couple of things I want you to take away from this, right? If you've been around my channel for a while, you kind of know. But if you're new here, of course, checking this bike out, there's probably a lot of you. I want you to stick around for this, right? So number one, as far as the intro, don't take this as a review. This is not a review. I just got this motorcycle today, rode it back from the dealership about 2.5 hours, got about 200 miles on it or something. So I can't review it, right? I like to review my bikes roughly around the first service or preferably around 1,000 miles, you know? Number two, I like people to kind of know me a little bit, my ride style and what I prefer. A lot of you know I owned an Africa Twin Adventure Sport before, which you'll hear me compare this a lot to the Africa Twin, KTM 890. Just recently totaled my Triumph Tiger 900 Rally Pro off the Smoky Mountains, went off the edge right at the start of the Smoky Mountains, broke my ankle. Just now getting back into riding a little bit. So again, take a lot of that into account because a lot of that kind of goes to this bike and me here. As far as my riding style, which is most importantly when you kind of look at this bike, again, I'm stating I had an Africa Twin, I had a Triumph Tiger 900, KTM, yada yada, many a dual sports 300Ls, DR650, stuff like that. I am not an aggressive rider, okay? I don't wheelie, I don't speed, I don't have adrenaline rush or anything like that. I guess all of us do that, ride motorcycles a little bit, you know, but I'm not out for that. I'm out for an adventure, a good time, and some exploration. I love riding moderate off-road, easy off-road, you know. I don't like skidding my back wheels or anything like that. That's not my style, you know what I mean? I just, again, like getting out and adventuring, exploring and stuff like that. So keep a lot of that stuff as far as that intro in your mind, because that's going to play a lot whenever I'm talking about this bike. And number one, where I want to start is the ergonomics. I think that could be the most important thing about a bike after budget and stuff like that. But number one, just sitting on the bike or standing on the bike here, you can see I'm flat-footed. Yeah, I'm on some uneven ground, but even when I'm on a paved ground, it's still the same right here. And I can flat-foot this bike phenomenal. And look, I can just like dance it around. I'll even put the kickstand up and I mean, I can just tilt it over and hold it like that. Now, again, right, I had an Africa Twin Adventure Sport. If I was doing this, that bike would be over if I was doing it on the Africa Twin. But again, you can flat-foot this. It's just really, really ergonomically sound. Like when I'm standing here, I got a leg full in between me here, you know what I mean? So it's not too skinny like, say, a 300L or something, but it's not super wide. It kind of goes perfect with my legs. A lot of it's going to depend on your, you know, your height and size and stuff like that. But for me, it's just perfect. Like when I'm flat-footing it, I still have that bike within me. I'm still straddling. It's not too low where I feel I'm going to lose it. It's right there. And that also goes with riding position. Just take a look at this here. It is just, I can't say it enough. And yeah, I'm still in the honeymoon phase, right? But I've ridden and sat on many a bikes. And again, the riding position of this out of the box is perfect. It feels so good. Again, my legs are going around the tank, super nice. You can see that angle in my legs. It's not like I'm not up here, I'm not back here or anything. It's got a really nice angle. As far as the seat, I got a little bit of room in the back and a pinch of room up in the front. So if I'm off-road and I want to come and really hug the tank a little more, I can do that. If I'm on the highway and I want to just kind of maneuver around a little bit, I still have that, and you still have room for your passenger back there. As far as the bars, I'm not leaning forward, I'm not leaning back, and again, you got some room to maneuver on the seat right here. But again, it's a really nice position, just straight out of the box. And that even goes for standing up on a bike. Just sitting here, like my legs, the tank's got a little bit of girth on it, but it's not too much, it's not too sharp. They just kind of wrap around it. The bars are perfect. I don't think you're gonna need any bar risers, which a lot of my bikes, I always put bar risers on. But standing up, it's just, I might have to adjust my levers a little bit, but standing up position is just so nice. Again, that tank, I'm a big tank bag user. I love tank bags, but with this fitting so nice, it almost makes me not want to use one. Now, the other thing I want to talk about as far as ergonomics is this windscreen. Those birds are taking over my video. But anyways, looking at this windscreen, it looks small. When you look at it on this video, it probably looks small. Other videos or pictures online, it just looks small. And you know, it's really doing the job it needs to do. It takes all that wind off the chest. I'm not getting any buffeting on my head or anything like that. It kind of comes up just right here, gives me a little bit of air, doesn't beat me around or nothing. It's not too much. Where I do get a lot of air, you see it's right there, and if you're looking straight at me, right, it's taking all that off here. But the wind hits me like just right here, like right at the arch of my arm. I had like bugs hit me in the arm and everything. I bought the Honda deflectors, which are supposed to bring that there, because when you're riding, you can feel the wind from here to here. You just put your hand and you feel it kind of bite in right there. So hopefully those deflectors push it out a little bit. I also bought the other deflectors that come down here, but I'm not sure. That's just something I wanted to try. But again, I do wish the windscreen was a little bit wider, just because I'm someone that doesn't like the wind beating up my arms a lot. All right, so hopefully you guys can see me in the frame, because this is a point I think really needs to be discussed out there, because a lot of people compare this to the Africa Twin, which I'm going to touch on that a lot here. But what I want you to look at here, as far as, again, the shape of this bike. So you got your seat, come up into the gas tank, bam, it comes forward. You got these plastics up here, and then up into your screen. Not the windscreen, but your digital screen, right? So let me put it this way. The Africa Twin sat similar, but I would say the tank was like up here. Of course, it was a lot wider. Then you had one screen, then you had your other screen up here, which again had your info and then your CarPlay and stuff. So all this was a whole lot more. It was just higher up there. The gas tank was bigger and wider. So even though you do sit in this bike, it's not nearly as in and engulfed into it as like the Africa Twin. Now you do sit higher on us. Like even when I was riding on the road, I was like, oh man, I miss sitting high on a nice big ADV bike. But as much as you sit inside it, it's not as much as the Africa Twin. All right, two more things I want to talk about as far as ergonomics here. Number one being the seat. It's a very soft seat. You can see I just dip into it and it's pretty soft. Plenty of room for a passenger right there. Nice little grab handles back here, but the seat is soft. You got that little bumper back there to let you know, like I said, you got plenty of room to move around. I would say a mild slope, but I'm nitpicking there. You know, I would feel myself getting a little bit more pressure scooching up to the front, but that's absolutely mild. Did you make a short seat? 20 millimeters shorter or something like that? I don't know. But anyways, it is a soft seat and it does taper inwards here. I'm used to seat concept seats on all of my bikes, Africa Twin to 300L, and I just like them being a little bit wider all the way across. Again, I'm not an aggressive off-roader. I like comfort, right? So I do see myself, even though the seat's not bad, I would say right at 100 miles, I felt my bum starting to tingle a bit. But again, I haven't been riding for like 8 weeks. The other thing I want to show you about this seat, which by the way, the key's up here. Usually it's like down on the side to unlock the seat. Bam, pop it open here and you can see all my goodies. Look, I still got the manual on the plastic here. Seriously, just got this bike today. You see the battery. There's no height adjustment on this like you did on the Twin over there. It's just your one notch here. Again, you got to buy the low seat. You can't adjust it in here. But the weird thing that threw me off as far as this is, like, the seat is super flexible. Like, not just the foam, but like the pan itself. It just, I don't know, it kind of feels a little chintzy, to be honest with you. So last thing as far as ergonomics, I promise you, it's a little bit more wind blocking I want to talk about. You see you got this little fairing out here. Bam, it brings all that air right around your legs. Like I didn't feel it on my boots or anything or hitting my knees. I mean, I got that breeze, you know what I mean? But it wasn't like beating up my boots or, you know, some like the Honda Rebel, if you ever used it, it kind of pushes your foot out like that, right? So this, again, it blocks all that air right down there. Really, really nice. I'm sure that's going to fare pretty nice in a rainstorm. As far as this right here, you don't get any of that heat coming on you right here. On the Triumph, all that heat came right on my legs, which might have been nicer in the winter, but down here in the south where it's always hot, my gosh, I absolutely hated that. So you don't feel any of that heat touching you here. Really no engine heat either. But again, it's super nice how it blocks all that air on your legs. If you compile everything we just talked about as far as ergonomics and just kind of get your own look over of it, let me tell you what, no joke, no exaggeration, this bike sits and feels just like a spitting image of the Triumph Tiger 900. Whether that be a Rally Pro or just a basic rally. You can probably even compare it to, what is it, the 800 or the 850. This is exactly the same feel as that bike as far as ergonomics. And that's very good. Now let's go and talk about a couple controversial points here. Number one being this low slung exhaust. Like it sits really low. And I know a lot of people are like, Why, right? Like I want to go do the Smoky 500, this exhaust is going to drown in some of those water crossings. You know, there are some companies, by the way, that are working on some exhausts that come up here and connect up to the back rack. But when you look at this exhaust, it's the same as a CB500X, the NC750. That's exactly what this is. It's like, you know, we can sit here, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. We can sit here and gripe about tubeless tires or no cruise control, but when you think about an ADV bike, you know, a serious ADV bike, this exhaust is just too low, and I'm ready for a company to come out with something, you know, where you can sling it up there. But I'm sure Honda did it for their cases and their accessories. The other thing are these tires here. These are the Dunlop, what are they called? The Trail Max Mix Tour. Now I've seen some other Transalp, mainly European. I haven't seen any other US reviews yet or coverage, but I've seen them come with those Metzlers, the same ones that came on the Africa Twin. You know, I didn't like those either, but here I would probably take those over these, even though these got some nice big grooves right back here, but the side grooves like right here are really shallow. These are like, these are definitely street oriented. We go like 90-10 as far as 10% off road. You know, I mean, they're fantastic on the road. The little bit of gravel I did, the front wheel gets very dancy. Let's go up there and take a look at that real quick. So I'm not sure how well the camera picks it up, but just looking at this front wheel, again, the grooves are just a little more shallow, and it was very dancy. Now down here we haven't had any rain, so anything you ride on is very sandy, very loose, and this front wheel is just dancing all over the place. So I'm not sure if I'm going to change them yet. Again, after my accident, my off-roading is, you know, I'm a little scared, I'm going to be honest with you. So I might wear these down to a little more street riding, very, very light, you know, fire road type stuff, which you see today. Might do some of that, and then maybe change them out. But again, I'm not a big fan of these tires. One other thing while you're looking up here, you're seeing the dual disc brakes, and let me tell you what, when you grab that front brake, you feel it. Now you got ABS, of course, but they are very nice and responsive. I wouldn't say like the Brembos on the Triumph where they were more natural and you felt it go through. These are kind of like you got the soft point, and then beyond that, it's like, whew, you feel it stopping. Now here is something really cool. As you see, it's the quick shifter, and on all of the US models of the Transalp, this isn't an upgraded version or anything. It's the US version. Will have the quick shifter included here, and it's pretty cool. I'll show you on the screen here shortly. You can set this to like soft, medium, and firm, or high, or something like that, and it's really cool. I tested it on medium a little bit, which felt pretty good, but with my ankle being a little sore, I put it to softer, and you can tell a difference. It's a mild difference for sure, but you can tell a difference. But other than that, even, it's just really cool that the US version of the Transalp comes standard with this. That's like a, what, $250 upgrade? Now, going right in line with that quick shifter there, I want to talk about my time actually like riding it up here. Again, I was close to, I got fired up here. I think I'm at like 180 miles or something like that. Again, just got this bike today, 182 miles. But anyways, I was on a lot of twisty, a lot of back roads. I had to get on some highways that got up to like 65. Traffic was going 80. And this bike just really handled it. Again, the quick shifter was really nice. The 750, the power in there was plentiful. You definitely had passing power even up into the 80s. The throttle control, I wouldn't say it was snatchy, because again, you can really dabble with it. You'll see this in our riding impressions as well, but I wouldn't say it's snatchy, but it is. You got a lot of pull. You really got a lot of pull all the time with this bike. One thing I will mention though is his stinking clutch. And I'm sure there's a way to adjust it, but as right now, out of the box, I got to release it like all the way out to here. So I felt me stretching my hand out to here, and it started hurting a little bit. So I got to figure a way to adjust that. I want it a little closer. The Triumph, for example, was like right here. Let it go, and then the bike started easing off. Oh, the Triumph just felt very natural. This is what I feel I got to stretch. So I got to figure out how to adjust that. I did catch myself using the quick shifter a lot more because of that issue. Now let's go and take a look at the controls, and then we'll look at the screen, and I'll show you some of the options that you can adjust. This is just my phone on a phone mount. I love this phone mount. I use it on all my bikes, not sponsored. Just a cheap one off Amazon, but it's phenomenal. Prevents the vibration. Anyways, my phone's gonna come into play here in a second. But as far as the controls, over here you have your high beams on, regular, and then you can just press it down to flash. Really like that. You have your mode button, you have your horn, you have your turn signals, emergency flashes function. And then this is like your little joystick. You can go down, up, left, and right with it. It's so weird because it's like this straight thing. And so sometimes when I'm trying to go up, I accidentally go to the right rather than it being a regular joystick. It's very, again, it's just weird. It's going to take some time to get used to for sure. And then over there, of course, is your start switch. Now I just want to briefly show you the menu here, and I really apologize about my glare. I mean, I can cover it up a little bit, but the sun's setting and it's coming through the trees, so I really apologize for that. But as you see, the background is black right now. I got my gas gauge over here, tachometer, speedometer, gear indicator, quick shifter up and down, and then of course our settings over here, and put my hand up, kind of like the Africa Twin, except it had it on the bottom and they were a lot bigger. Again, you had two multiple screens, and then of course you got your lights over here, traction control, your ABS off will come up down there, your shift indicator, and then your basic like fuel consumption and stuff. And you got 4 menus of those down on the bottom, which you can adjust and customize. And you can really customize this screen a lot, which I really like. And what you can do, well, number one, let's focus on this over here, your ride modes. So you got standard, rain, gravel, and user, and sport, and then back to standard. Let me show you one thing before we talk about customizing screens. So we got user mode. What you can do here is hold down the mode button, and then these are going to start flashing. So you got your power, electronic braking. Again, if you're familiar with the Africa Twin, you're familiar with this. Traction control. This is what I want to show you here. So you can see there's traction control full. You can press it down, get it to 1, and this traction control is finicky. Like, holy smokes. I usually like my traction control like halfway, like whether it be on the Africa Twin or something like that. I really like that. The Triumph was a little different. I don't think you can set at different levels, but 1 notch or all the notches here, it's, I mean, holy smokes, it really kicks in. So anyways, holding it, the joystick up, it'll kick the traction control off, and you can see it lit up right there. Bam, and I'm going to hold the mode button down, and now it's set in there. But it's not saved, right? So traction control's off. You see our user mode right there. Traction control is completely off, no notches. I'm going to turn the key off. Honda logo comes up, it's off. I'm going to turn it back on. Nice Transalp graphic. Bam, traction control is full blast. That really stinks there. Now, of course, I'm going to hold the mode down again. Bam, we're going to go over here. We're just going to hold it up. It's going to turn traction control off. Hold the mode down again. Bam, and our mode is set. Now, if we cycle through, like if we're just riding, so okay, bam, we're back on the street, which yes, you can change these ride modes while you're on the road. You just got to let go of the throttle. You can't be gassed out. So love that. Remember in Triumph, we couldn't do that, and it drove me absolutely bananas. So really nice to be able to do that. Anyway, cycling modes here, rain, gravel, back to user, traction control's off. So just when you turn the key, that is going to turn off, and you got to reset your mode right there. I kind of wish it would save, but I don't know, maybe I'm just being nitpicky there. Anyways, let's go on and cycle in, and I want to show you customizing your menu option here, which is pretty cool. So number one, you got your ride mode. Let me show you, let me get here. This joystick is finicky. Quick shift, this is what I want to show you. It's pretty cool. So you got up and down, and you can adjust both of them. So you got soft, off, hard, medium, and then back to soft. And then you press left on a joystick thing. It's so hard calling that thing a joystick. But as you can see, you can adjust up and down. As far as flickering on a screen, that's just frame rate. This screen doesn't actually flicker. It's like the LED or whatever, LCD flickering with the frame rate of the screen on the camera or the lens of the camera. Anyways, you got to hold it to the left to get back to the main menu. Shift point, which again is as far as your light turn up there. Self-canceling turn signals. I absolutely love that this bike has that, and they're really good. Again, we notice those in the ride test here. We'll do. You can turn them on or off, but leave them on. They're awesome. Let's go on and back over here. Oh, I held it too far to the left to go back out to the menu here. Over here, you have your display type, brightness, background, and favorite. Now, I don't know how well you guys can see this in the menu, but this text is very small. Keep this in mind here, right? So anyways, brightness, you got auto up to 8. I always leave mine on auto. Background, you got white, black, metallic, auto. And then, of course, your favorite information, which are those notches on the bottom, which you can customize. One thing I want to show you real quick here is say when you go into metallic, which I thought would be cool, so metallic bike. Let's go on and get the metallic background. And you hold it to the left, it'll go to the back. Now you're seeing metallic. I'm not sure how well the camera can pick this up, but you're seeing a metallic over here, speedometer, tachometer, all that, and then your user information. You'll see a line right here where it splits, and it breaks it up where it doesn't look like a seamless display. I don't know, you can see that it's like, all right, we've got this information and that information, and it's just throwing off the lines right there. And it just messes with me, and it's, I don't know, I don't like it. It almost gets dimmer over here than it is over there. So as much as I would like to use the metallic, I don't, because it just looks kind of cheap to me. So let's go back to background, and I'm going to set it to auto. Up here, display type. This is really cool. This I want to show you. This is almost like Triumph style, right? So this is a display I got right now. Again, tachometer, speedometer, fuel up here. A little more futuristic looking where you got your fuel speed up there. This is Triumph style, which gosh, I'm so glad I don't got to use a tack like that anymore. And then up here it's kind of like retro style, right? Where you got the tack and the speedometer. Let me just show you one. If we go over here, we're going to look at that one. Let me hold it to the left. I wish there was just a back button. Now, this one looks really good on the screen. It looks very good on the screen. But again, me, after coming from Triumph, like, oh man, I'm so over that kind of tachometer right there. Maybe that's just me. But so number one thing we're noticing here is I really wish there was a back button. So let me go back in here, set mine to display 4. Personal preference, but that's just what I like. All right, hold it back. Come on. There we go. General, which of course is date, time, stuff like that. Bluetooth, which you can pair to this. I haven't used it yet, so I'm not sure if you can skip track or anything like that. That'll be pretty cool, but I don't know if you got to pair it with your headset like the Africa Twin was pretty finicky because you had to pair to your headset, then to the bike, or maybe to the bike, then to the headset, and then to your phone. I don't know. It was weird. So we'll see how this one works. And then, of course, your service. Now, the last thing I wanted to point out on the screen, again, why I told you to look at my phone, is just the size of the screen. It is small. Here's my phone. iPhone 14 Pro Max covers the entire thing. Whoa, it just went black. Yep, that's back to white right there. But you can see how small it is. Like the whole screen of this thing is iPhone 14 Pro Max from edge to edge, but Honda's, you know, they're utilizing the space, but this, you see it plentiful, right? It's enough right there, but it feels dinky. It's just weird. Honda has all of this space up here on this dash, and they put this dinky screen up here. I get it, right? It's all as far as price, keeping the cost down. Same with the tube tires, right? But oh man, I just wish this was just a little bit bigger just to fill in all of this empty space. And I know you guys can't really see it in the camera, but that even goes down to here. There's just so much empty space down here. Now, you can buy an accessory down here, which I actually have, but even behind the bars and up here, tons of space. The Africa Twin dealt with buffeting, that the air would come up here. I didn't experience that, but what I did experience is like, if there was a car in front of me, like a leaf would come up here, shoot up here, and then go into my face or something like that. I had that with some pine needles. So again, it's just like excessive unutilized space all up here and then up on a dash as well. So now for the ride test segment here, and I say ride test lightly. Again, I just picked this bike up from the dealer and rode it home. You're talking 2.5 hours. I'm at 148 miles, if you can see it right down there. By the way, 52.2 miles per gallon. And again, through this ride segment here, sorry if I repeat anything, I'm recording the ride segment and then the talking segments separately, just kind of touching on, again, that core experience here. This is day one. Again, all I've done is ride it home on some twisty roads. We're about to hit a little bit of gravel right here. And by the way, oh, here we go, mode. As you can see right there, mode button. I'm going to go to gravel. Since I was off the throttle, it'll switch right to it. If you're on throttle and you're trying to switch, it won't let you. You'll have to let go of throttle first. Same as Africa Twin. You probably hear me revert back to Africa Twin a lot, right? Because so many people just called this, you know, the smaller Africa Twin. Let me tell you what, just on this little bit of gravel here, the suspension, I don't know if I want to say it's firm because this is just a basic fire road, but you definitely feel it more. Again, I'm going to say Africa Twin, but the thing is just float over the bump. Same with the Triumph. The 900 Rally Pro, you just kind of float. Now, the KTM, the 890 that I had, that one was a little more rough on just, again, basic fire road, washout stuff. And same situation I'm getting here is I'm just feeling the jolts a bit more. Now, if you noticed, hopefully the camera can pick some of this up. You'll see right over here the traction control. Let me downshift a bit. And you can see it kind of picks up pretty easily. Now, my wheel just spun right back there. But even in a turn, the traction control's picking up. So the traction control's fairly sensitive here. Oh, Jiminy crickets. Apparently this road hasn't been serviced in a bit because some of these bumps are wicked. We've had no rain here, so all this gravel or anything is turned pretty loose, and then anywhere where there's been sand, it's turned into like a sand pit, you know. But again, we're just taking this basic, yeah, it's that whole turn right there. I don't know if you guys can tell on the camera, but that is just deep sand. And these tires are not the best for off-road. I think it'll get you done through something like this perfectly fine, but I can tell you my front tire, I feel it moving around quite a bit. I feel the back tire definitely gets some bite, but that front tire is quite dancy. All right, I'm going to stand up right here because I can see this is quite washed out here, and it's pretty compact. This road's traveled pretty regularly, and I've taken you guys on it many a times on many other bikes, pretty much every bike I've had, and I just can't stress it enough. You really feel that suspension. Again, I'm not an aggressive off-roader. Moderate, maybe that might be generous, right? I love fire roads with a little bit of technicality thrown into them, where you kind of got to pick a line. Smoky Mountain 500 might be the most technical thing I've ever done. I got a video on that. Go check that out if you want. But again, you really feel the suspension on this. You know, I don't know if I mentioned this in the other segment, the throttle over here. I feel that it's just moving. It's loose. I feel it dancing around, like especially even when I'm standing up and I'm kind of like lightly just holding on to the bars, and I hit a little bump or a little washout, you just feel it kind of dancing on the bars right there. Kind of strange. But this is the end of the little gravel bit, and again, just like I'm gonna go right back into standard mode since I wasn't on throttle. Again, it'll actually go into it, but if you are on throttle, oh, good mercy, this thing's got some pull. It seriously does. Just right back there, like I just kind of went back, and it definitely gets you going, you know. And I'm trying to take it easy on her. Again, as I stated before, I am by no means an aggressive rider. I'm not a speed demon. I'm just out trying to go on adventures, you know. And when we get to the end of this video, to kind of sum up this bike when we're talking about all that, right? So we're in standard mode here. As you can see, it has the power on 3, electronic braking on 3, and all that is pretty much the exact same as like the Africa Twin as far as setup here. I would say the biggest difference from, again, I had the Adventure Sport, is electronic suspension, right, as far as being able to adjust, and then Apple CarPlay. You know what, speaking on that, while we're riding here, talking about ergonomics and everything and just position, I'm going to take this back road and then we'll jump on a little small highway that can go 65. Let's go and stay here. By the way, auto canceling turn signals. Let's see how long it takes to turn off. Ah, perfect. Absolutely love it. They will turn off by themselves if you don't turn for a while, but gosh, I love auto canceling turn signals. I really do. And you can activate or deactivate those in the menu. Anyways, riding ergonomics. As I was just standing up back there, you know, it's fantastic. So right here, standing up, every bike I've had, I said, yo, I got to get some bar risers, you know. Well, let me not say every bike, right? The Triumph or the Africa Twin, I didn't. And that's the vibe I get here. And I haven't adjusted these at all. You can tilt them forward and get them up a little bit more. But right now, I'm sitting at a really nice position. My legs got that just basic kind of bend. And I'm comfortable. I'm not leaning forward. I'm not leaning back. It's really nice. Now, right along with that, the windshield here, you know, it looks small. It looks really small, especially if you're looking at it online or probably in this video. But it does exactly what it's supposed to do. Like, it takes that wind off my chest. But there's a big but right here. As we get on the highway, I'm going to show you, and hopefully you can still hear me over the wind. Golly, that exhaust sounds so good. Quick shifter. I should probably be taking it a little easier on her since she's only at 153 miles. That quick shifter, I'll talk about that in a second. That's great. Anyways, hopefully the wind's not too bad right now and you guys can hear me pretty good. And what I want to talk about is, again, back to that windshield. All of the wind is off my chest. I don't have any helmet buffeting. right? Not even coming through here, kind of what you used to experience on the Africa Twin. It would come through and kind of hit you in the face. I didn't experience any of that. I think that guy was just probably trying to be a schmuck because he just did his windshield wipers right as he passed me, as he sped past, probably going 80 something miles an hour. What can you do? There's got to be some of them, right? But anyways, back to my wind right here, right? So windshield mirror right here in the middle. It comes back and hits me right here in the arm. Not so much up on my shoulders, but right here on my arm. And as I was driving back from the dealership, I probably had like 3 bugs just right into my arm here, you know what I mean? So I did already order the deflectors that go right there. I also ordered the lower deflectors just to see what they do. But I'm gonna get off the, even though the highway's quicker for me, I'm gonna get off it right here so you guys can hopefully hear me a bit better. Ah, this quick shifter is nice. And let's go on and, you saw right there the auto canceling turn signal turned off by itself a little earlier than I would prefer. And you can't adjust like the setting. I've never been on a bike where you can adjust the setting of the auto canceling turn signals. It's either on or off, right? Anyways, that quick shifter in the menu, which hopefully I showed you in the beginning part of this video, you can set it to soft, medium, or firm. Is that it? Or hard? Soft, medium, and hard, something like that. I put mine, maybe it's low, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I got mine on the lowest. My first little bit when I took it from the dealer, I had it on medium, and it felt pretty good. But you all know I was recently in that accident. My ankle broke and it's still not really healed, so I put it in low mode. And to be honest with you, it's not a huge difference. It's honestly not a massive difference, but that could be like break-in period. Will that be much different later on down the road? Who knows? I can tell a bit of a difference, but again, right now it's not a massive difference. So with the quick shifter coming standard on the US version of the Transalp, I think that's fantastic, because that was a mod I was getting. So I was thinking, all right, well, this is the MSRP. Let me go on and knock 250 bucks up already, because I'm gonna get the quick shifter. I've stated it before, there's 3 things I always want on every bike I get: quick shifter, cruise control, tubeless tires. Well, I'm missing 2 of those on this bike, right? Which you know, this riding that we're doing here right now, which is probably the majority of my kind of riding. I mean, I like riding further, but I like, you know, I'll take 2 hours longer taking the back roads rather than jumping on a highway. It's just what I like, you know, and I'll take 2 hours longer if that's what it means. So in those situations, I wouldn't use cruise control like we are in now. But if I was to get on the highway and I wanted to go super far, you know, then cruise control will be very beneficial. Cruise control is one of those things that it's like, gosh, I'm glad I have this when you need it. You know what I mean? It's like heated grips, right? You're not going to use heated grips all the time. Heck, probably not for half the year. But golly, when you turn those heated grips on, you're thankful you got them. You know, that's kind of just like cruise control. I think you'd use the cruise control more than heated grips, but that's a little bit of a stinker. The tubeless tires, you know, I want to sit here and gripe about them, but honestly, I've never dealt with a flat tire, right? You think off-road, you know, you tell people like, oh, why do you want tubeless tires? Me, well, I can plug it, I can fill it, I can patch it, and I'm off, and I can go to the nearest shop, and I'm pretty much good to go. Say you get a nail through your tire, then into your tube, then you got to change that tube. Number one, you got to have the tools to get the tire off. Then you got to have the knowledge and strength, more importantly, to get the tire off, which I change my own tires, but good mercy, on a hot day in some sand or mud, would I want to do that? No way. So, you know, yeah, I do wish they were tubeless. And the people that try to defend them being tubed, like, how many times have you shredded a tire where a tube is going to help you out and be beneficial? You know what I mean? Like, come on, you've probably had a flat tire from bending the rim or something, or, you know, a rock punctured it, but you never shredded that tire where that tube is going to be beneficial, right? So you kind of think of it that way. Why do they do tube tires? They're cheaper. They're cheaper than tubeless tires, right? So to keep the MSRP down, it makes sense. And I'm okay with that. Now, one other point about the suspension feeling a little bit firmer for me, again, for that little stint of off-road and then some on-roading that we've been doing, I will tell you that whenever you grab the brakes, come to a light or something, it doesn't dip as much as many other bikes, pretty much any other bike I've ridden on. This is definitely, you know, whenever you hit those brakes, I haven't grabbed a handful and really skidded it, but coming to a good stop, it doesn't sink down and throw you back, you know. That was a big thing on the Africa Twin, big time, you know. So I don't experience that here at all. One other thing I want to mention about the riding experience here is the clutch. I feel like, you know, you got to get used to your bike, of course, and I'm just coming from the Triumph. And that one, like, you just barely let go of it, and it would just start giving the bike a little bit of power. It was just natural. I've stated that about the Triumph before. You saw that right there, like barely any dip. Of course, I wasn't going fast, but on the Triumph or the Africa Twin, you would get that dip. But right there, like, sheesh, I feel like I got to let this clutch go so far out to get it going, you know. So I don't know if I can adjust that here. I've had Honda Rebels before manual, and it wasn't this far out. Again, I feel like I almost got to extend my hand the full bit. But again, coming from the Triumph, where everything just felt truly natural. Again, I'm in standard mode here. I haven't messed around with anything else. I put it in gravel mode when we were off-road. But again, if I get down, it's got some, I don't know if I want to say snatchy, because snatchy would be like 300L. Right, you pull that thing or let it go and you're going forward and back. It's not like that. And then again, you can adjust that. So me saying snatchy is kind of, I don't know, I don't think that's fair. But again, I don't like how far I got to let go of that clutch. So I got to see if I can adjust that somehow. All right, so let me get to closing this video out here. You all know I can yak all night long as the sun is setting here. I haven't even had dinner yet, and again, I just got home with this. That's why I got 2 YouTube channels. But anyways, closing out this video here, I'm sure a lot of you are kind of catching a vibe of this bike. Is it an Africa Twin, right? Well, when I think of Africa Twin, and I got a soft spot for an Africa Twin. You all know that was my dream bike. I got rid of it because it was so heavy. When I think Africa Twin, I think adventure sport, just right out of the gate. I think heated grips, you know, all this other stuff, electronic suspension. That's what I think. That is not what this is. If you want to think this is like an Africa Twin, a mini Africa Twin, I think that's fairly fair, but you gotta say it's the mini base Africa Twin. You with me, right? Non-tubeless tires. You got the tube tires up there. The cruise control, I didn't even talk about that, right? I really wish it had a cruise control. But anyways, you know, you got the tube tires. You don't have the electronic suspension. So it's anything of an Africa Twin, it's like the base Africa Twin. What I would compare this more to is a beefed up CB500X. You hear so much comparison of this to the Africa Twin. Don't think about this as an Africa Twin. Think about it as a bigger CB500X, not a smaller Africa Twin. Base Africa Twin. There's a big difference from the base Africa Twin and the adventure sport. Trust me, there really is, you know. But again, that's what I want you to think about this. And as far as ergonomics, it is to a T like the Triumph Tiger 900 Rally Pro, just a little bit lighter, you know. So if you like those ergonomics, you got it here. The price point, right? 10,000 MSRP. I mean, you're getting a lot of bike right here. You know, you really are. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, and I hope Honda can make it perfect. Tubeless tires, high-slung exhaust, cruise control, just to name a few. You know, I mean, heck, forget the electronic suspension. Give me cruise control. That's what I want there, right? And then my tubeless tires, you know, I'll fix the exhaust. But those are a couple little nitpicky things that I think could be easily fixed. But as it is, 10,000 bucks, this is a heck of a bike. So thank you so much for coming along for this adventure. First impressions of this bike. The review will be coming here shortly as well. So again, thank you so much. Catch you in the next adventure. Bye now.